Preach your word, brother.
Thank you. Well, good morning, ambassadors. As a preacher, and Nathan can attest to this as well too, you're always looking for those sermon ideas. And this is one of those ideas that I've had on my desktop for a long time, and finally got to a point where I could preach it. And it's the statement or question here, depending on how you want to look at it. Why do we gather? And of course, in the current events of our time, you know, the thought comes to my mind, or why should we be gathering? And so I'd just like you to think about that. We're going to look at this probably for the next Sunday as well, maybe longer after that. I've got 5 main points in response to this question, why do we gather, or why should we gather? And today we're just going to look at one of them. And I don't know if it's the most important one. You'll decide that for yourself, but it's certainly something that resonates with me a great deal. And so to set the tone for today's lesson, I want to read from a couple of passages, beginning first in Romans chapter 12. And as we read both of these passages, I want you to be listening for those qualities of friendship. Romans is really, and we saw this morning too in Nathan's lesson, Romans is a wonderful book in regards to giving us direction and instruction about relationships, especially our relationships with each other as brothers in Christ. But I think the application is so much broader than that. And so I want you to listen for those friendship qualities as we read through this. So I'm in Romans chapter 12, beginning at verse 9. And Paul writes, "Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil and cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love." Now I want some of this to resonate as we read it as well. Think about how our world could be changed when people devote themselves to each other. Think about that in your family relationships. Think about that in your community, in our congregation here, in our world. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves. When was the last time you did that? I don't know if I can answer that, to be perfectly honest. Shame on me. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with God's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. I mean, look at those qualities of friendship. And there are lots of ways, lots of perspectives, quality of relationships, if you will, quality of growing together that we've seen just in these first couple of verses. Continuing at verse 14, bless those who persecute you. Well, what would that do to relationships? Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low positions, like preachers. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil, but be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everybody, if it is possible. As far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, "It is mine to avenge. I will repay," says the Lord. In other words, chill. Cut each other some slack. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Now, I don't think that should be your motive for helping your enemy. Let's be careful not to twist that here. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Again, put that on your reading list this week and just pay attention to those qualities of friendship. And there's two words, a statement in here that I want to pull from this. And this is what we're really talking about today. But in verse 19, Paul says, "Do not take revenge, my friends." The Greek word there is agapetos, a form of agape, that unconditional love. And your translations might translate that beloved or dear friend, because most often the word for friend is philos, and we'll see that here in a moment too. But that just really resonated with me, my friend. I want us to focus on that. Turning over to 3 John, we're going to read the whole chapter here. And we know who John is, right? You know, he's the guy all about love, right? Listen to how he talks to those he's writing to, and really to us, the elder. "To my dear friend," again, this agapetos, "to my dear friend," or your translations might say beloved, but it's that the hint there is this idea of dear friend. I mean, we're not just companions, we're not just friends, but we've got a bond that's thicker than that. It's spiritual. It's based on God. "Dear friends, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. It gave me great joy to have some brothers come and tell me about your faithfulness to the truth and how you continue to walk in truth. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. Dear friend, you are faithful in what you are doing for the brothers. Even though they are strangers to you, they have told the church about your love. You will do well to send them on their way in a manner worthy of God. It was for the sake of the name that they went out, receiving no help from the pagans. We ought, therefore, to show hospitality to such men, so that they may work together for the truth. I wrote to the church, but Diotrephes, who loves to be first, will have nothing to do with us. So if I come, I will call attention to what he is doing, gossiping maliciously about us. Not satisfied with that, he refuses to welcome the brothers. He also stops those who want to do so and puts them out of the church." Now, one of the things that we pick up in this reading, too, is not just those qualities of friendship here, certainly not to the degree that we saw in Romans 12, but we see on the flip side of that, too, those things that tear apart friendships or keep those relationships from growing like they should. Back to verse 11, "Dear friend, do not imitate what is evil, but what is good. Anyone who does what is good is from God, and anyone who does what is evil has not seen God. Demetrius is well spoken of by everyone, and even by the truth itself. We also speak well of him, and you know that our testimony is true. I have much to write you, but I do not want to do so with pen and ink. I hope to see you soon, and we will talk face to face. Peace to you, the friends here." And here, this is an example of philos being used here. "The friends here send their greetings. Greet the friends there by name." Those two passages resonated with me simply for this idea, this language, this word friend. And it got me thinking about how important friends are to us and how important those relationships are to us. And of course, this is in the context of being brothers and sisters in Christ. But do we see each other as friends? And what does that mean, to see each other as friends? I'm going to share with you some research about friendship, and I want you to be aware of that. And the reason that I do that so often is because I don't want you to think this is just my opinion. This isn't just an idea that I had, but there's some amazing research and information out there about the importance of friends. And my information comes from a website entitled Project Unlonely, if you want to check that out, and a couple of Time magazine articles. And as always, my notes are always available if you want to dig a little deeper into this. But here's the deal. We live in a time, in a world with the things that have been going on for a while that have truly created our awareness about being lonely, our awareness of isolation and the problems that it causes. And these aren't new problems. I think they're just more in the forefront for us as COVID has caused us to isolate. And please, let's not become political about this, because that just distracts from the point and quite honestly sets us in a position that isn't necessarily godly. What I want us to understand is there are issues in our lives when we don't have friends. That's where I'm going with this, okay? So, did you know health risks associated with loneliness and social isolation are comparable to the dangers of smoking and obesity? I could give you so many more facts about this. It's really quite amazing. I mean, I think if I would have asked the question, is loneliness a problem? I think we would have all agreed with that. But what surprised me is the degree to which it is a problem. It literally shortens your life. One of the things I became aware of too recently with isolation, when I say recently, in the past decade, is how loneliness and isolation affects dementia patients. It's not necessarily the cause of dementia, but it can certainly help in the progression of the disease. And so that anytime I hear something about dementia, that gets my attention. Loneliness is as lethal as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. There's 20 cigarettes in a pack, if I remember right. So that's almost smoking a pack a day, okay? And that's just, we all know that's not good for your health. But to connect the problems with isolation and loneliness with such severe health hazards really catches my attention, and I hope it does yours as well. Now, some external factors that are accelerating the crisis, research indicates, for example, that the internet and social media engagements exacerbate, well, it's easy for you to say, make it worse. Let's just use that. Make it worse. The feelings of loneliness, depression, and anxiety, according to a 2014 survey of college students. You know, lots of times people want to make the argument that the internet helps us to be better connected. And I think in some ways there's some truth to that. I mean, for us to be able to jump on FaceTime with Kevin and Tabitha out in Portland does a father and a mother's heart good. I mean, it's so much better than just a phone call. But it's not a replacement for those face-to-face times, those times to be able to get together and hug. Loneliness kills. Bottom line, loneliness kills. And that's the conclusion of a new study by Brigham Young University researchers who say they are sounding the alarm on what could be the next big public health issue along the lines of substance abuse and obesity. Some other research from Holt Lunson says that maintaining meaningful and close relationships as well as diverse set of social connections is key. And so I want you to be thinking about how well are you connected? And here's where the rubber really meets the road. At what degree are you connected? Okay? What defines a friend for you? And we'll share some information that I hope will help you to answer that question. Friends do your health so many favors. They protect your health as much as quitting smoking and a great deal. Okay, here's a yay toast moment. Get ready for it. Yay toast, okay? Having friends is as healthy for you as quitting cigarette smoking and a great deal more than exercising. Yay, toast! We all know how important exercise is. But what's even more important is having good friends. So throw away the gym gear. Let's just get together and build relationships, okay? I'm all for that. Yay, toast. So the question comes up to me then, well, how many friends do I need? If friends are so important to me thriving in this world, how many of them do I need to make this work, to truly be able to glean the benefits of these relationships? Well, according to the data from the General Social Survey, the number of Americans who say, now, before I actually answer that question, here's some more information. Kind of sad here. The number of Americans who say they have no close friends has roughly tripled in the last several decades. And in this survey, the answer 0, when people are asked the question, well, how many friends do you have? How many people do you really have that you can confide in? The answer, the response 0 is growing dramatically. And also here, guys, us guys seem to be especially bad at keeping and cultivating relationships, okay? And here's a little public service announcement for the guys. It's February. Okay? Every woman in here smiling. Thank you, Rudy. It's February. Now, for you guys who haven't caught on yet, February 14th. For you guys who haven't caught on yet, February 14th is Valentine's Day. Okay? Act like you knew that all along. Okay? And don't forget it. I believe it's on a Tuesday this year. No, it's a Monday. It's on a Monday. The gal's corrected me, right? No, it's Monday. So, how many friends do I need? Well, this may seem strange in the era of Facebook, Twitter, and boundless digital connectivities, but the friends orbiting at the farthest reaches of the internet are not what we're talking about. And I don't want to suggest that those connections aren't significant and that those means of communication aren't significant. They certainly have their place. But as more and more people are more and more connected on the internet, it's not the kind of relationships that truly allow us to thrive and experience all the benefits of friendship. Okay? And I tell you what, just ask any teacher today what the internet is doing to our students today. And that'll kind of give you a clue, too, about what it might be doing to the quality of our relationships. Here's the answer to your question, 3 to 5. How many friends do you really need? And we're talking about good, close friends, people that know a lot about you, you know, more than anybody else, people that you can truly open up to, people that just touch your heart and make you laugh and make you feel good just simply by being in their presence. So the vital friendships, the pals you hug and laugh with and cry with, are the ones who have the greatest impact on our health and our happiness. Now, this Dr. Robin Dunbar here, this gentleman's name is associated a lot with this type of research, so much so that there is a thing in this field called the Dunbar Number. And that Dunbar number is 150. What this number represents is it's an expression of how many people can we connect with. And in the research, the number varies from person to person from anywhere from 100 to 200. But 150 has been where this label has landed, the Dunbar number. Now, the reason that I share this is significant in the sense that I think it speaks a lot to us as a congregation. And it says a lot, too, about the value of small congregations. If you define small congregations as 200 or less, you see, that's the number of people you can connect with. Now, I'm not saying it at all that this means you have 150 close friends. That's not the point at all. But another way to think about it, let's say you're going to have your daughter's wedding. How many people are you going to invite to that? You know, probably somewhere between 100 and 200. Why? Because that's probably about how many people you know. What about your 50th wedding anniversary? Who are you going to invite to that? Again, somewhere between 100 and 200, most likely. I mean, none of us are the Queen of England and, you know, going to invite thousands or anything like that. But even the queen's inner circle is more along that. And we saw that number for Jesus, didn't we? In Acts chapter 1 and verse 15, it's talking about Peter and the apostles here, and that not the inner circle, but that group of believers at that time was 120. And so we even see this with Jesus himself. This Dunbar number really speaks to that circle of influence, if you will, those acquaintances in your life. Dunbar's research shows that within that group, it really boils down to the closest 15 relationships, okay? And that includes your family as well. Now, some of you might say, well, I got more than 200 cousins. Well, yeah, but you're probably not connected to all of those cousins in the same way, okay? So within that 150 or 100 to 200, there's probably a knit group, an inner circle, if you will. Inner circle, where have we heard that before? Jesus had that inner circle too, and so do you. That group of people that you're going to count on, those family members, the kin, if you will, seem to be most crucial, those people to our physical and mental health. Your good friends tend to fire up your nervous system and trigger the release of feel-good neuropeptides, or those endorphins. And those endorphins are pretty powerful things. And it can be good and bad. Sometimes those endorphins are kicked up by things that addict us, and that's not good. So get addicted to those positive things, like people in your lives, positive people in your lives. So how many friends, again, do I need? For the sake of our health, we need friends. Ideally, really close, the really close kind that we see face to face on a regular basis, like maybe every Sunday, when we get together here. Important. But you know what? I've always said, though, if this is all we're experiencing on Sunday, this isn't what I'm talking about. And I'm not taking away from this experience at all. This experience is so important, this worshiping and glorifying God. But what's going on here? You're being forced to listen to me without any response except, a scrunched up nose once in a while when I misspeak or something like that, So there is a little bit of that two-way communication, but not the type that really builds the relationships that I'm talking about. But here's a good place to start. So why? Getting back to the lesson, why do we gather? Or why should we gather? Well, we're going to look at 5 different reasons, but the one reason today that I want us to consider why we gather is because we need each other. We need friends. We need these relationships. I need people in my life who will hold me accountable. I need people in my life that will keep me grounded. Okay, and you need those people in your life too. I need people who will make me laugh. I need people who will question the stupid things that I say. I need people to say, that was good. I need people to praise me. I need people to encourage me. I need people to love me, even when I'm unlovable. Don't you? Don't you? Yeah. Well, at least some of us think that. Okay. Of course, we all need people like that. And the beauty of this relationship, too, is the idea, even though we've been talking an awful lot about how unlike-minded we are, we truly are more like-minded. We truly are more like-minded than we're not. And how important is that in creating some security in our life, some comfort in our lives? But also, let's remember, too, iron sharpens what? Yeah, we need to be doing that for each other as well, okay? Let's wrap this up. From John 15, Jesus said, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." Greater love. And this passage only makes sense when you understand the significance of friends. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. What caused Jesus, besides the love for his Father, to allow himself to be nailed to that cross? You, his friend. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. And you, Jesus said, are my friends if you do what I command you. Put that in the form of a question and apply it to your life. Are you a friend of Jesus? And before I ask that question again in the invitation, Ralph Waldo Emerson said it best: the only way to have a friend is to be one. So think about that again in this context. If Jesus is truly going to be our friend, we have to act towards him in friendly ways. And what I love about Jesus, one of the many things that I love about Jesus, is he doesn't throw these things out there and hope that we guess right. He tells us how to be a friend, that we be obedient, that we be obedient. And he set us an example of that obedience. So the question for you this morning is simply this: is Jesus your friend? And if he's not, then the road, the pathway to developing and having and maintaining that relationship, that type of relationship with Jesus as a friend, begins with your obedience. Can we help you with that today? Is there something that you need to be obedient? That's not the way to say that. Is there something you're lacking, shall I say it that way, in your obedience? Well, is friendship with Jesus something important for you? If it is, how can we help you today? Won't you come while together we stand and sing this song of encouragement?